In the end, we need to close the file. So this is how we make CSV files via Laravel. Let's add the route. Let's go to api.php and add another route. It's a GET request now. Export. Just export. Order, controller, export. Let's go to Postman now and change this to export. We can see that property ID does not exist on this collection instance. So I guess the problem is here, so they should be order, not orders. Let's try it again. So we can see this is a CSV here. We can save the response to a file and we can save it anywhere. This is the order.csv. This is how we create and download CSVs with Laravel. Now let's go back to the roles. Right now the roles don't do anything because we haven't specified any permission for each role. In this tutorial we will create the permissions table, which each role has different permissions. So it's a many-to-many relationship, so we need another table which is role permission table. Let's add the migration and see how it looks like. PHP artisan make migration, create permissions table. Let's go to the permissions table. So the permission table won't have the timestamps. It will have just a string with a name. This name will be like a view permission on the users table or edit permission, etc. We'll see it later. Now we need to connect permissions with roles. To do that we have to create another table. Artisan make migration, create role permission table. Let's go to the role permission table. Let's remove again the timestamps here, and here we will add the unsigned big integer role ID and permission ID. So this is how we connect many-to-many relationship with tables. Now let's add the foreign keys. Table foreign role ID references ID on roles. Let's do the same for the permission ID permissions. Now let's migrate. PHP artisan migrate. The tables are migrated. Now we need to see them. Let's create a seeder permission seeder. Let's go to the permissions seeder. So before adding the permissions here, I forgot to add the models. So PHP artisan make model permission. Now permission insert. This is a method to insert a lot of fields, not just one field. Let's run the PHP Artisan IDE models so it can highlight the insert. And now here we need to put an array. I will just paste it directly. So we will insert multiple permissions, and the only field that we need is name. So these are the permissions that we want: view users, edit users, view roles, edit roles, view products, edit products, view orders, and edit orders. Let's seed this database. db seed class permission seeder. So we successfully inserted these permissions. Still, we need to connect which permissions belong to which roles. So we have to go to the role seeder, and for the specific roles we have to add different permissions. But we cannot create again these roles, so we have to create another seeder. PHP Artisan make seeder role permission seeder. Let's go to the role permission seeder. Now let's get the admin role. Let's import the role directly here. We will get the role by the name. So Laravel has already a builder for it, which is where name equals to admin. This will return an array. It will not return a single value, so we will get the first value. So we gotten the admin role. Now we need to set all the permissions for this role. Let's get first the permissions, which are permission all. Let's remove this and import it. Now all the permissions belong to admin, so we have to do it like this. For each permissions as permission, db references the database with a table role permission, insert role ID admin ID permission ID permission ID. You may ask why I use db here instead of creating a model. You don't always need a model for everything. So role permission purpose is just to have a many-to-many relationship, but we won't use that as a model. Now we need to create the editor. Let's copy this line here. Editor. Let's copy also this line. Now for the editor we have to make an if statement here. Permission name, let's make an in array here. Permission name is not in view edit roles with an exclamation point. So the editor will have all the roles except editing the roles. So that's an admin role in this case. Let's copy it again. Viewer. So here we will create another array, viewer roles. and we will remove the exclamation point here. Now let's create the viewer roles, which should be view users, view roles, view products, view orders. So that's it. The viewer has only view rights. Let's replace this with viewer. So that these are our three roles. Now let's insert it to the database. PHP artisan db seed class role permission seeder. Now let's see it on the database. We have the permissions here. So we have two tables, permissions and role permissions. So permission is really simple. And role permissions, the role admin has all the roles 1 to 8. Role editor has 1 to 8, but it's missing 4. And the viewer has only these roles. Now let's connect the permissions with the roles. We'll create a function here, permissions, and we will return a relationship. The way to connect many-to-many relationship is by using belongs to many. The table that we want to have the relation is permission.class. We also need the other table which makes this connection, which is role permission. Now let's go to the role controller and create permissions along with roles. Permissions will not be created separately like the role controller. They will be created along with the roles. When we create a role, we also assign its permissions. Let's first add the role resource. Let's go to the role resource, and here the role will just return the name, also the ID. But it does have also permissions. Since we added permissions here, when we display a role, it will show the ID, name, and the permissions. Let's go to the role controller and change all of this like this. Role resource collection. Here we need a new role resource. Let's copy this line, paste it here and here. So the role resource works fine. Now let's create the permissions. The permissions will be passed as an array. So we need to create a for loop to insert the permissions. So first we will create an if statement. If permissions is equal to request input permissions. So sometimes they will send an empty array, so we need to make the if statement. And now for each permissions as permission, this will be actually the permission